So here we are live from Cannes, close to the Palais de Festival, and in a place we like very much to be and to have an ice cream with Dennis Broe. Dennis, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you. Hello, Antonio. Nice to see you here.
Oh yes.
We are live, so we catch a lot of motorcycles.
Perfect.
Exhaust.
The motorcycle, because now in Camden can use motorcycles, we can attend cinemas, but you know, Dennis, there's been a virus. I think you know it. Can you? And
Yes.
there's been a complicated year, but you've taken advantage of it for writing a book about film, cinema, history.
Yes, it's
Diary of a Digital Plague Year.
Yes, Diary of a Digital Plague Year. That's my book. It's subtitled Corona Culture, Serial TV, and the Rise of the Streaming Services.
Yes. And
So
you know a lot about it, about serial TV,
I
streaming
do.
services, binging. That's your
Yes,
specialty.
my previous book was called Birth of the Binge.
Yes.
And yes, this is my third book on television, and I did take advantage of the lockdown.
Yeah.
I was able to watch 144 series last year, and to skim through altogether about 400.
Oh my!
And,
And you're not insane, or not completely insane.
Not completely insane.
Not completely.
But yes, and so the book is a kind of diary
Yeah.
of what life was like during the lockdown. It's divided into 4 parts. The first part is called something like, well, we never expected this, we never knew.
Yeah.
And that's the first part of the year last year. Second part is about the first confinement.
Yes.
Third part is about the summer, when we dreamed again that confinement
yes.
was over.
You know, the Spanish president told that we won the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Last summer. So I told him, please stay shut.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So, and then the fourth part is called The Winter of Our Discontent, where the virus reappears again.
Oh my, yes.
So it's about the virus. It's about multiple plagues and multiple viruses, actually. Not only COVID, but also the
Yes.
climate crisis, also the drug crisis, also the inequality, the rampant inequality,
Yeah.
and racism and post-colonialism, or still colonialism in some places. So all of these
Yes,
things
because that's a
affected us.
subject we've talked about.
Yes.
And I think then is that with the pandemic, it's worse.
Yes.
There's more inequality. There's more. I remembered you a lot. We have different views, but talking about inequality, and I said, "Wow, this is getting worse."
Yes, in fact, the virus has exacerbated. It's made everything worse.
Yes.
However, it also, well, of course, we also have an economic recession, and many people in the U.S. now about to lose their jobs or their homes at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Because they were granted a reprieve in terms of paying rent, but now they have to pay rent, and
Sure.
where is the money going to come from? Many of them are still not working. So you've got, it's very interesting, because I didn't get a chance to talk about it in the book, but it's very striking that you're seeing this housing thing. One thing is the very rich saved their money, which we
Yes.
all did during
That's
the
it.
pandemic, but now they're buying. They're buying and building at a rate we've never seen before. So they're buying and building new homes, whereas those people who weren't able to save, those people who barely got by, who only got by with a little bit of assistance, they are about to lose their homes.
Completely.
So here you go again with this kind of incredible gulf, between these two different peoples, which I talk about a lot in the book. And I did actually relate it to Daniel Defoe's book called Journal of a Plague Year,
Oh yeah.
which is about the year 1666.
You know,
17th
if
century.
you search for the title of your book,
Yes.
now that it is not a bestseller, few weeks of being a bestseller, but there appears the book by Daniel Defoe.
Yes, the book by Daniel Defoe comes up, and the question that I asked in the book is, because what I did was I kind of compared a lot of what happened in the book to what's going on now, and there are very striking similarities. There was a moment where the rich stayed home and sent their servants out, who then contacted the plague, and of course the rich stayed home, and there were cashiers and and healthcare workers and people delivering food who had to go out and risk their lives. So that was sort of similar. There was also a point where there were poor people who went out into the country to try to flee London, which was really the center of the plague. Okay? The town constables herded them away from the towns, thinking they were just there to steal money from them, when in fact they were trying to save their lives. And we have a sort of similar situation in India that Arundhati Roy wrote about, where poor people tried to get to the country, and they were herded back by the cops, And so we have these similarities. Oh, the other things too is that Daniel Defoe talks about is it was a time when charlatans appeared. That is, magicians and people who preyed on ordinary people's sense of desperation. And we had Donald Trump. We had the charlatan in chief appeared, and he told us that oxychloroquine was the solution. And so, we had all he was, so this was, usually these thieves would be on the street, but our thief was in the White House. So it was a very strange year, And also the other thing that I talked about in one of my pieces about this was that what's going on? Why are there so many similarities? Is it just because it's a plague, or is it that because of the plague of neoliberalism, which is throwing all of us back on our heels, that we've gone back to a more primitive time, and where we are is the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, which is the time that Defoe's writing about, because all these safeguards have been lifted.
So we're living like a kind of involution. What happened after the Industrial Revolution, but when we gain some rights, now we're
watching a devolution.
Devolution.
Yes, that's what we're watching. So anyway, that's one of the pieces I do write about cultural politics, but a lot of the pieces are about television. And I have a very critical view of television, of commercial television, and of the streaming services, and I chart where they went over the years.
Yes, you do at least an article a week about series. I receive it on my email.
Yes,
and you are always very critical, and I like that you, as usual, you get the social point of view. You get the economic history and very important social point of view to understand what's happening and what we're watching on the TV, because it's a reflection of our society.
Yes, exactly. And my idea is that serial TV does actually engage the social. That it is part of that. That's the story world of serial TV. People are expecting stories that relate to their lives, and the question is how. Do they enhance their lives? Do they make them more aware, or are they simply addictive sort of palliatives that maybe allow them to get through, but also kind of trick them into kind of cozy kind of cozy existence which doesn't exist anymore. So I wrote about a lot of shows. I had a top 30 at the end of the year, top 30 shows, which were really about 35, 36, and so you'll find a lot to watch and a lot to think about in terms of television. And also in terms of where the streaming services are, which is a big issue still here at Cannes, a kind of buried issue, but it's still there because...
Yes, the toast that Terrifimo did at the press dinner, that he toasted for 120 years of cinema, and maybe in 120 years we can toast for 120 years of Netflix. But he said he thought it wasn't going to happen.
Who said that?
Terrifimo, the director, the general delegate of Cannes, the director of Cannes, was foreseeing that Netflix is going to...
Well, I don't think that's true. So, what you're seeing here is a kind of tussle, an industry battle.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, you're seeing a real validation of French film. That's what the Cannes Film Festival this year is about. So there are 450 films that never got released because of the lockdown. And they're 450.
Oh my.
So they're coming piling into the cinemas,
Yes.
and some of them they waited for Cannes Film Festival, and the festival's about building interest for French cinema. They're also very scared of the streaming services. They can say they're going away, but they're not. You can't wish them away. And Cannes has taken the view that the streaming services can be here, but they cannot have films in competition. Now, I don't know what I think about that, but I will say that it's not Thierry Frémaux. It's not Thierry Frémaux who's got that view. Thierry Frémaux,
because he took
Yes, he
Okja
took-
here.
that's right.
Yes.
Okja. Yes.
But he
Yes.
had a big problem.
Yes, he had a big problem, and he was told by the French theater owners that if you ever put a streaming service film in competition again, we will fire you.
That's it.
So that's what's going on, is this tussle now. I'm not in favor of the streaming services, but I'm also not in favor of Cannes becoming just a sort of, in a way, kind of a shill for French cinema. They want it to be a wider experience, like Venice is, because Venice has streaming services. It has very strong promotion of Italian cinema. It has 3D. It's really become a festival of a moving image, and it doesn't discriminate in this way. And I think the Cannes Film Festival is better for French film, but I'm not sure it's better for the moving image as a whole. That's where I'll leave it, I think.
Do you think, and we'll keep talking about this, but that's the subject of my thesis dissertation, that film festivals have become less aware of cultural diversity of world cinema, international cinema.
Yes,
or at
I
least
think so. Yes.
Than they were. So they
Yes.
promote national cinema.
Yes, more promotion of national cinema. And the other thing is, you're not getting such critical films anymore. That's what I've observed this year.
Yeah, that's one.
You're getting really kind of what I call NGO, non-governmental organizations, which are essentially kind of corporate organizations posing as do-gooders. So you're getting a lot of NGO gobbledygook. Where people talk about, well, we really want to save the planet, and we really want, to do good, and blah blah blah. And it doesn't. At this point, for example, I just came from a press conference on climate, right?
Yeah.
So they have a new entry this year, which is films on climate.
Yeah.
So there's about 7 films in the entry, and they had most of the directors there, although not the director from China. Very interesting, because this festival does not have the BRIC countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That is, they're not coming because, or they're not allowed in, or whatever, But there may be some ideological, thing about that too. But that is 40% of the global population. So how can you call yourself a global festival? When that's not happening. Now, it may be because of the restrictions that it may go off, but it's not a really global festival if you don't have those, when you don't have delegations. As you said, the Russians, only 50 people, because they said the countries they do business with can't come.
Yeah.
So they're not here for the market. Anyway, at the climate conference, it was a lot of, in the films, there were a lot of individual initiative. I have nothing against. I think Greta Thunberg is very brave. But I think we're somewhat past the time of let's all throw our cans out. Let's be sure we throw our containers out. Individual initiative, as one person pointed out in the panel, if individual initiative was absolutely actualized and everybody did everything they could, it would take care of 24% of the greenhouse gas. So that's not the answer. The answer is we must hold the fossil fuel companies and the big fishing magnates. Together they're destroying the land and the ocean, and we must have films about them. Everybody's talking about, the cinema, the power of the cinema, it's so great. Well, where's the power of the cinema to talk about this issue? at the point now, and we are at the tipping point. 55 degrees in Canada last week.
Yeah.
You know, so we're at the tipping. A whole town wiped out in seconds.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're at the tipping point now. There's no more, you know, individual initiative is nice and blah blah blah. It has nothing to do with anything. And I see too many films here. They're really just what I call it NGO gobbledygook. You know, about we really, you know, we really need to save the planet, and you know, we'll all get together and do that. It doesn't work. That's exactly what the fuel companies want filmmakers to be saying, because it delays the inevitable. You know, and you see it in other areas too. I haven't found films here that are really that controversial or really engage. You know, kind of what you might call a more social and more committed politics. You know, what I see is a big thing here is, you know, the kind of coming of age film of young girls.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. I saw one called, it was from Kosovo, and it was called The Lionesses on the Hill. Okay, so the Lionesses on the Hill, three teenage girls, you know, get on the hill and scream, you know, and they frolic. They frolic on the hill, they frolic in the water, they frolic in a hotel, and then the film's over. You know?
Okay.
It doesn't discuss anything about Kosovo. You know, okay, so maybe that's the idea. All you see is a mosque in the background, but you see nothing of the NATO destruction of Yugoslavia. It's not taken up. You know, same thing with a film that's much better called Marina, which is from Croatia.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a better film, and it talks of it's about a 17-year-old, same subject, about a 17-year-old, and she's kind of plagued both by she's kind of caught between her very domineering father and his boss, his former boss, who the father has invited to come to this island in Croatia to buy the property and build, because you know the Dalmatian coast is the huge thing right now. You know, in Europe it is the hot spot. Okay, so he's going to kind of you know, he wants to sell this. He wants to get this guy to build this hotel. Well, some contradictions start to emerge, but none of the contradictions, and they do, and it does paint a picture of the violence of the father, and ultimately also the violence of the businessman who really acts seductively toward the girl, but then it doesn't follow through on it. You know, he won't take her away. So, you know, it does sort of present a kind of picture of her trapped by this patriarchy, and she escapes it in the end. But although that's unclear exactly how, but she doesn't succumb to resentment. Okay, we'll say that. But where is the other history of Croatia, the fascist history, the history of ethnic cleansing? Why isn't that tied to the violence of the father? Just gone, evacuated, you know?
Yeah.
And there's too much of that here.
Yeah, that's something we need. Dennis, we'll keep on talking because you have another book, because there are lots of films in Cannes Film Festival that we need to talk about. I want to talk to you about Manuel Carrer film, because I think it links with the vision you have of
The which film?
Manuel Carrer, the one who opened the Canción de Raíces. I'll tell you the title because it was the film that opened the Canción.
Okay, I don't think I've seen it yet.
They represent it 16th. I'll tell you. Okay. Anyway, we have a book, and the book now we can look for it in
Yes, I hope you'll be able
Amazon,
to find it.
and will it be a series? We don't know, but it's Diary of a Digital.
Diary of the Digital Plague Year, and then the subtitle is...
Diary, yes, because diary is for cakes,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah, okay. So Antonio, Diary of a Digital Plague Year.
Yes.
Dennis Broe, your new book, 4 parts, very interesting, very compelling analysis as you always do. So, congratulations, Dennis.
Thank you.
Hello. The audience is greeting you.
We're getting an audience
And have a nice festival. We'll keep on talking.
here. Okay, thank you.
See you.
Thank you, Antonio. Good to see you again.